Am I the asshole for canceling vacation less than 24 hours in due to my kids' behavior?
It's giving, I'm going to turn this car around vibes.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Oh my God. My mom used to threaten that nonstop.
I will turn this car around.
My husband and I have 3 kids, 9 male, 8 male, and 3 female. The boys have been driving us crazy. They fight like cats and dogs. We've had countless talks with them about respecting each other to no avail. I understand sibling rivalry, but it's gotten to the point it's disruptive to all of us every day. I already told my husband last week I wasn't sure if the vacation was a good idea. My husband shut me down pretty much immediately, and things went ahead as planned. First of all, the 3.5-hour car ride was predictably hell. Boys fighting and riling each other up the whole time. Husband and I kept trying to reassure each other that things would be better once we got there, and they would be too excited to cause trouble. We were wrong. They had so many reminders of what not to do once we got to the rental house, so they do everything wrong from the get-go. Shoes on the white furniture? Check. Running in the house? Check. I turned my back for 2 seconds, and the 8-year-old threw a box of chalk in the pool to keep his brother from getting it. We went out to lunch, and they were out of control in the restaurant. 9 male ran away from us in a strange place because he didn't get his way. We finally go to the beach, and they are frankly being brats, refusing sunscreen, fighting over toys, pushing their luck repeatedly, going further and further out in the water than we told them to, cursing. By the time we got back to the house, it was around dinner time, and I was fed up. They were totally ruining it for everybody. Nothing had worked, and I told my husband we needed to go home for the reasons mentioned above, mainly that they needed to see a real consequence. My husband still insisted it would get better. I put my foot down and told him that I didn't even want to be there at this point, so either I was leaving or we all were. He got super pissed and told me it was ridiculous and unfair to our daughter. I actually agree with him, but saw no other choice at this point. Of course, when I tell the kids, they immediately burst into tears and are begging to stay, promising they will behave. My mother, who came with us, was also near tears. She thinks her precious grandbabies do no wrong. She argued with me too, begging me to, quote, just let it go, but I refused to budge. So we left less than 24 hours into a 4-day vacation. Half the ride home was spent with them sobbing, and my husband pretty much gave me the silent treatment the whole way. My mother decided to stay behind a little longer, but then started randomly texting me about 30 minutes in, asking if I was serious. She knew I was, and told me the whole reason she came was to spend time with the kids. So I had now, quote, ruined it for everybody. And they're only little once. Here we are the following evening, and pretty much no one likes me right now except my 3-year-old. Are they right? Am I the asshole?
My gut is to say no, not the asshole. I personally wouldn't stand for that type of behavior.
Hell no, these are kids from hell.
Exactly.
Am I the asshole for not supporting my dad and my friend's new relationship? I cannot believe I actually have to post something in here, but I think I need a bit of clarity for my current situation because I really don't have anyone else in real life to talk to it about. I am 21 female and attend college about 6 hours away from my hometown. Unfortunately, my mom passed away at a young age, and my dad, 48 male, has been a single father to me for the past 8 years. My dad hasn't dated anyone seriously throughout the years, and he seemed to constantly indicate that all he wanted to focus on was being there for me. I have always encouraged him to put himself back out there, and when I left for school, I encouraged this even more, as he would be an empty nester. Since my freshman year of high school, I've had a really close friend, 21 female, that has always been there for me, and I've spent a lot of time with. She attends a more local college that is only about 20 minutes away from my hometown. This all started this past spring break, March, when I went home and noticed that my dad was texting someone fairly regularly. I also saw the name that was texting him once, and I did not recognize it, but it was a woman's name. This is not common for him, so I figured he may be finally sparking up his love life after all these years. I did not say anything about it because I didn't want to make him feel weird or uncomfortable about getting back out there. He seemed happy, and I was happy on the inside as well for him. I said my goodbyes and went back to school. A few weeks later, I just so happened to be looking at my Find My Friends when I noticed that my friend was at my house. I thought this was strange since she doesn't live live necessarily close by. It will sound naive at this point, but I honestly did not think that much of it. About a week went by and I decided to come home one day early for Easter in April because I just had a feeling that something was strange and to try and catch my dad off guard a bit. Everything was normal and he was very happy to see me. I was planning on seeing my friend the next day for lunch. My dad and I spent the day together and then started watching a movie. Then it happened. I saw an incoming text on my dad's phone and it was from my friend. This was all I needed to see to place the last piece of the puzzle together. My dad was going out with my friend. I was feeling pretty sick the next day, a little bit of faking to avoid the situation, and I also just felt a bit uneasy about it all. I felt like a layer of trust was broken, and the other external details, such as their age gap and the already existing dynamic, made me cringe up a bit as well. After 2 days at home, I took the next train back to school. I told my dad that I really had to ace an exam coming up, so I had to get back. I needed to leave the situation and think. After thinking, I came to the conclusion that I am not okay with this relationship. I did not want my individual relationships that I had with each blended into one. I thought it was a bit gross, and above all, the fact that they knew they had to be sneaky validates my feelings that they should know better. I waited until finals were finally over a few weeks ago and finally called my dad and told him that I know and what my thoughts are. He sounded very upset on the phone, sad, not at all angry, and told me that he understood and wanted to talk about it the next day so he could think. I have no clue what he was telling my friend, but I did not have any contact with her about this throughout these initial calls. The next day, my dad and I talked. He was very apologetic and understanding of why I was upset, but eventually came down and said that he would not stop seeing my friend. He said that they had been seen each other since the end of last summer and have become attached to one another, and he was not ready to forfeit, quote, his first real connection that he has felt in so many years. I held my ground and told him that I will not be seeing him or hanging out with him when I returned home for summer break until he ends this. It has been 2 weeks at home with basically no interaction with him or my friend, aside from a text from my friend every other day requesting to talk in person or on the phone about it. I did not respond to her texts or calls. Tonight, it came to a head. I returned home from dinner with a friend to find my dad and my friend awaiting me in my house. This was the most unpleasant experience I have ever had with my father. It ended with him crying and him saying that I should understand because I know how hard it has been for him. He also pointed out that I have been deeply encouraging him to put himself back out there, so I have to have some sort of sympathy with him. After about 15 minutes of yelling, tears, and overall awkwardness, I stormed out and drove to another friend's house to stay for the night. I am too embarrassed to tell the friend I am staying with the details / talk about why I left home or this relationship. So I have sat here for the past few hours and wrestled in my mind whether I'm being too hard on them or if I am in the right. Am I the asshole here for not supporting the relationship or even tolerating it? Just a note, I have talked about zero details yet with my friend or dad about why they started going out or etc. I just know that it's been happening. I'm sorry for how long this is, but I am very confused and don't know what to think or feel.
Same.
Am I wrong for telling my sister-in-law how much my brother owes me when she tried to tell my nephews that I was an example of why they should stay in school? I'm a steam fitter and I work a lot of overtime because I hate working, so I usually work like a madman for 7 months of the year and take the other 5 off. My brother's a teacher and the first person in our family to graduate from university. I've always been proud of him and he is pretty awesome. He married another teacher and they have 2 boys together. His wife comes from a family of educated people, and I think most of her relatives are college educated. My wife and I are expecting our first child, and we had my parents and my brother's family over so we could announce it. I spent the day getting my smoker going early, and we set up for what I thought was going to be a nice visit and announcement. Full disclosure, my wife and I currently live in a mobile home. We keep it tidy and it has city water and power. Well, before we had dinner, my sister-in-law told her children this is why you need to stay in school. Am I wrong for telling my sister-in-law how much my brother owes me when she tried to tell my nephews that I was an example of why they should stay in school? I saw red and was about to go off, but my mom and brother told her that she was being rude and that she needed to apologize, but she didn't. She doubled down and said we're doing okay for 2 of us, but what if we wanted a child? She just didn't want her kids to end up like us. I told my brother he needed to tell her to shut up or they needed to leave. She said that she was just thinking about our future and our future children. I told her my kids would be okay as soon as her husband paid me back for his education that I paid for. I also told her that my current house wasn't great, but the construction across the road was our new house. I then told her since I make more money than her and my brother combined while only working a little over half a year, I think we'll be okay. And by the way, I would not actually call in the loan to my brother. I know they're living within their means and don't have the money to pay me back. Anyways, she got embarrassed and left, and I told my parents about the baby.